Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, Seal Anthony, and my main man, Bryce Ward. Bryce, what is going on?
Not much. Just recovering from not feeling great last week. Still got a little bit of a cough and some congestion, really, but nothing too crazy. Just been enjoying basketball this last week.
I do want to bring something up. So today we're going to be just flying blind, and that's okay. Our true fans know we don't script this shit. A couple of weeks ago, Paulo went down. You guys lost like the first 3 or 4 games. The last 5 games, you guys have won. And now I haven't been able to watch any of those last 5 games, but I have to ask you how satisfied you are that they've righted the ship as of right now in the beginnings of Paulo being out maybe for 2 to 3 months.
Well, they've just found their identity, is what it was. Paolo going down put a major strain on the already less than average offense. That was the issue. But Franz had just come back from being sick, seemed to need to get his legs under him. I know it's a smaller sample size, but Jonathan Isaac even mentioned he put on a lot of weight over the summer to bulk up, and he said it's taken him a while to do the same thing, get his feet under him. So as good as some of our defense looked, even in those 5 games we lost, because the first initial loss came at Chicago, which we should have won. It was the game that Paolo got hurt in, but we should have won that game. But the next 4 were against pretty tough opponents on the road. And so with the adjustment of losing Paolo and some of the players still kind of finding their way at the start of the season that were not named Paolo, it just resulted in tough matchups that we couldn't really have enough offense to pull out of. But the shines of the defense, like their shining times, the defense stepped up. It just wasn't quite enough. And that was a 5-game road trip. We lost all 5 games. And since then, we came home, and they've won 5 in a row. And there's Franz has really stepped up. He honestly, he looks like an all-star. He might be in running for like most improved player kind of thing with Paolo out. He looks like he's good enough to lead a team on his own. That's how good he's looked. Without really anyone stepping up in a major way offensively around him. Like his brother Mo has been really good off the bench. But Jalen Suggs has been inconsistent offensively, both having to learn, his new point guard roles, and especially since Paolo's out, he got a lot of his shots from Paolo, finding him and stuff. So there's been an adjustment period for Suggs for sure, and the rest of the team. But Franz has stepped up in a major way, and our defense has stepped up. The defense looks smothering at times. They'll go half a quarter. Now we're seeing it in every game. Third and fourth quarter, there's a time where the defense locks down, and the other team can't score. I know the Sixers don't have a great record either, but the other night, Joel Embiid, it was his second game back. They did have Paul George, no Maxey, of course. And it was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter to like 8 minutes or 6 minutes in the fourth where Philly didn't score. And, sometimes the other team just can't seem to get going at times, but really it's a testament to the defense. They're literally smothering teams with their size, and they have playmakers on the defensive end. Anthony Black, Jonathan Isaac, and Jalen Suggs, of course. But a lot of people, they're starting to come around on Franz Wagner's defense, but really Franz is a two-way player. Franz's defense is not talked about enough. He's giving everyone that he's guarding a tough time scoring. He's extremely versatile, and he's leading this team. And the defense, is number one, number two in the league. I think depending on what you look at, number one in the East for sure. And the defense is what's keeping us in games, and the offense is playing well enough to give us these wins. And really, I think it all, besides the defense, I think all the things has to go to Franz. He's doing everything. He's looking like an all-star, and he's getting the team involved enough to where they're coming out with these wins. The highest scoring opponent out of that 5-game stretch that we won at home, the highest score in total was 94 points.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else has been 90 points and below. And that includes 2 NBA Cup games, which I know you don't care about, but still there's a point differential involved in that. So it's been nice to see the defense step up, not just to be good, but it looks like to be elite. And that's what's carried us. The team found their identity through the defense, and they're getting out and running, and Franz is looking like an all-star. He looks like he's just doing what Paolo was doing for the team, but in slightly different ways. And it's been fun to watch because after those first 5 games that Paolo went out, we're like, oh my God, like, are we even going to be able to make up enough ground with Paolo when he comes back? But now it looks like, especially with how discombobulated the East is right now, really kind of looking a little weak, actually, even though it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the season. The East has given the Magic the opportunity to stay in the standings watch, and with the last 5 games, they're number 3 in the East. So it was nice to see them find their identity and find their way on defense, and seeing that translate to wins. But also big shout out to Franz Wagner, who a lot of people were questioning us giving him the max just because he had a hard time shooting the 3-ball last year, ignoring everything else he's done. Well, he's around league average on 3, which is all we need him to be. And he's doing everything else, getting to the line, hitting mid-range, getting to the foul line. He's doing everything. He's looking impressive. He's looking like a team leader while he's doing it, and we're getting wins. So it's been a nice turnaround.
Good. Somebody told me that we talk about the Magic too much on here, but I mean, Magic are like top 3 in the East right now. So because I shit on the Magic so much, and I am non-biased, so because I shit on the Magic so much when they do bad, I have to give them kudos when they do good. So that's why we talk about the Magic so much, because I do want to give you guys the flowers, because I was shocked that you guys won 5 straight games. You know what I'm saying?
The Lakers don't get enough coverage from ESPN.
It's funny because he's a Lakers fan, but I'm not gonna say who it is.
Dude, all of them can just fuck right off. That's how I feel. With the media, the way they treat Paolo over the last few years, the way they force feed TV games to Wemby, the amount of attention Bronny James gets for getting moved to the G League, everybody can fuck right off. All right, that's how I feel.
I'm just saying, it was a Lakers fan. I'm just saying.
Of course it is. Go watch ESPN. They cover you pretty well.
So I'm going to bring the standings up for the Eastern Conference, because you hit the nail on the hammer earlier. So yeah, you get your flowers today too, because I'm still having a hard time with this Cleveland thing, right? And
every team in the league's having a hard time with Cleveland. What are you talking about?
Well, I've seen a couple of their games. I have. And there's nothing that really stands out. Like I said, they made a coaching change in the offseason. Okay, great. But something is just clicking with this team right now, which is absolutely amazing.
I think the offense. Darius Garland looks like he's taken the criticism from the playoffs last year to heart, and he's playing tough. Donovan Mitchell is going to be Donovan Mitchell, but Evan Mobley has stepped up in a more offensive way as well as continuing being so good on defense. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, I think, are the difference, and just the mentality around the coaching change as well. It's been it seems to be an entire tone shift in that team, as well as the already pretty good offense getting better, I think. So, and the defense has always been pretty good there. So, yeah, they're just clicking on all cylinders.
Here's my issue. They've gone 14 straight games, which they won 14 straight games, which is amazing. But looking at this schedule, I got to nitpick it now. But looking at this schedule, there's really only two wins that stand out. And I'm not even going to count the win against y'all because y'all didn't have Paulo that game.
Mhm.
The Lakers win and the Golden State Warriors win. But if I name the other teams, Chicago twice, Philly, Brooklyn, New Orleans, Milwaukee twice, New York, Washington, Detroit, Toronto. Outside of Golden State and the Lakers, they haven't beat anyone. Huh?
New York's not bad. They're still figuring things out, but they're not bad.
They're in the top 6 in the East, I believe. But I'm just saying, the New York got off to a rough start.
Yeah.
Because, that was the fifth game of the season for the Cavaliers. New York was still figuring things out. So outside of the Lakers and Golden State, like I said, you guys don't count because Paulo wasn't there. They haven't beaten anyone good.
Right.
Now, would you agree with that? Like, do you think it's fool's gold, or do you think Cleveland can maintain this spot throughout the duration of the season?
I think unless they get hit with major injuries, and honestly, even if that happens, because they were still relevant last year with certain players hurt, so that not necessarily knocks them off. But I think they'll stay. Unless like multiple guys go down for a long time, I think they'll stay top 2 in the East.
Even looking at their next few games, Charlotte, who's playing good basketball, Boston, I'm not going to count New Orleans, Toronto. Atlanta's playing decent basketball, and then they have Boston again. So within the next 2 weeks, they have Boston twice, and then Charlotte. December 5th, they have Denver. December 8th, they have Miami. They've had a soft-ass schedule to start. I wish I had this schedule. Okay? So I'm giving you credit, but I'm going to pump the brakes on some of the other people talking about Cleveland so far this year. And I'm going to tell you something. Looking at this, around Christmas, a little after Christmas, they have Denver, Golden State, Lakers, and Dallas. That's when we're going to see how good this team is. It's going to be a West Coast trip, but that's when we're going to see how good this team is. If they can go like 3-1 on that road trip, then I'm going to take them a little serious. But right now, I'm not ready to give them the flowers just yet. I'm just not ready for it. I can't deal with it. And just to be clear to all our fans, we're not talking about this bullshit NBA Cup because we don't care about the bullshit NBA Cup. So we're just going to talk about wins and losses at this point. So, did you hear about the All-Star game change that they're talking about doing?
Yeah, I mean, they're always trying to do something to get more viewers. The viewership overall has been down, and then at the All-Star game as well. So you're going to see some. I think we're going to see more gimmicky type stuff the next few seasons while they try to figure out who is going to be the next face of the league. Because as of right now, I think they don't know, and their viewership dropped slightly last season compared to previous seasons. So I think they're a little worried that they don't have a new face to replace Braun and Steph. You know what I mean? Even though there's a lot of talented guys coming up, they don't have that new face yet. And so I think they're trying to do everything else in their power to try to get people to watch. And unfortunately, the All-Star game is going to be one of those things that they try to fix because I don't think they feel like they have the recipe figured out yet, obviously.
If we go a little deeper, the viewership has been dropping since the bubble. And I think it's going to get worse now. And that's just a deep dive in it. But a lot of people were turned off from some of the things that went on in the bubble, and I think it's going to get worse now. So I think the viewership is probably going to continue to drop for the next 4 years, despite the names that they try to push forward. The political stance that some teams and players in the league were making back then kind of shifted things because they haven't been able to recover from that. But looking at the standings right now in the Eastern Conference, does anything surprise you as of right now? We're still early. We're a month into the season. But does anything surprise you right now as far as the playoff picture and the play-in picture right now?
I mean, pretty much 7 through 10 is surprising. I mean, Indiana, we predicted, had a good chance of being higher. And for as good as that offense they had last year, it seems like they're having a hard time getting going this season. And I think a lot of that has to do with people figuring out Halliburton and not letting him just run wild like he did last season. To be honest, I think Indiana blew their load and peaked early last season, if that makes sense.
Load. That's what we're doing.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing.
Uh-huh. I don't think they're as good as what their success last year. I think the stars had to align in a specific way for Indiana to make it as far as they did last year, and I think they kind of got high on themselves. But really, to me, out of everything in the top 10 right there, the biggest surprises are Brooklyn and Detroit to me. Just because Detroit was bottom of the barrel last season, Charlotte's shown signs of life the last few seasons if LaMelo Ball and those guys could stay healthy. That's not surprising to me. Atlanta being off to a hot start isn't necessarily surprising to me, even though they're only 6-7. That's how down bad the East is right now. You're number 5 and you're 6-7. You're below 500. I mean, look, you're 5-6 and you're number 6.
I'm not going to talk about the Eastern Conference being bad because the Eastern Conference won the championship last year. So I'm not subscribing to that. I'm just going to say it's real competitive. It's more competitive in the East than it is in the West because people like to shit on the East. But if you look at the dynamics of the NBA, Eastern Conference teams have always won more championships than Western Conference teams.
But the other big surprise for me has been Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That coach and that team, Dennis Schroeder, they're playing scrappy ball. They throw out some odd lineups sometimes with Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. And for as much as we joke about Simmons, there's still some things he can do.
Yeah, he's serviceable.
But they're playing some scrappy basketball, and I think they've caught some teams kind of sleeping on them. And I don't think they're going to get much higher than that or be a real threat to make the playoffs in the East. But I do think they're going to be that team that when other teams go into Brooklyn to play, I don't think it's going to be as easy of a night as they think. And Brooklyn's going to get some wins because of that. So the biggest surprises would be Detroit and Brooklyn for me so far. I think the Knicks figure things out. Boston and Cleveland are safe. Atlanta is a big question mark because I don't think they can keep that spot. But the rest of that there, it's not outrageous considering how bad Milwaukee and Philly have gotten off to. That's also the big other big surprise. We're talking about the teams right there in the top 10. Right. But the biggest surprise has got to be Philly and Milwaukee not even being close. I think each team has like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 wins at the most. And that might be the surprising thing.
So as far as Atlanta, I haven't watched a lot of them this year. So I have to really – I think we played them once, the Heat. But I have to really watch them again to see, what's going on there. I'm not worried about Miami. I don't care. I'm not worried about Miami. We're always fine. So looking at the bottom of the East, my NBA Finals pick is 2-10, but it's okay. Maxi's out. Paul George has been in and out. Embiid's been in and out, even though he just got back. I'm okay. I'm not jumping off the ship just yet. Toronto should be contracted. I always say that. Sorry, Scotty Barnes. They shouldn't even have a team at this point. The gift that keeps on giving, the Milwaukee Bucks, who lost to Charlotte last night by 1 fucking point, they are fielding calls. I'm not saying they're going to make a trade with anyone, but Milwaukee are taking calls.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Milwaukee should do at this point? Because it is an absolute disaster right now.
I didn't watch it, but that movie Oppenheimer, where they drop a bomb. You need to drop a bomb on Milwaukee and blow that shit up. Yeah. I understand not wanting to, but man, it seems like just they have no direction, no way to get out of this really. Outside of some major trades, and I know, but that's what I'm saying as an outsider looking in. That's what I would hope, because you you can't keep going on like this. You have a couple names on your team, and you're bottom of the barrel. Giannis is going to move on. He's going to be gone. He's going to want out. He was almost wanting out before.
Yeah.
And also, I haven't been keeping up with Dame's stat lines. Giannis putting on shows. He's doing everything in his power. He had a triple-double last night or the night before. He's doing everything.
59 the game before that. Yeah.
He's doing Giannis things. It's the rest of the team.
I mean, look, Dame is doing Dame things. Still 26 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 7 assists. So, but it's gotten to the point where he's not impacting the game. His stats are like they're becoming empty stats, and God knows he can't play defense. With that said, Dame, I still love you. You know, you have a home. You can come to South Beach. I still love you. Now, I can say unequivocally 1,000% Miami and Milwaukee have talked recently. But I don't know if the talks have been about Dame or if the talks have been about Giannis. That's what I don't know. But I do know 1,000% that they have talked. I asked you this a few weeks ago, but I'm going to ask you again. If you are the Heat, knowing now that they are talking, who would you go after, Dame or Giannis, if you're the Miami Heat? Because I don't know who the talks have been about, but they have talked.
I think you get the most you can get. I think if I had to pick one, I mean, it seems silly to want to pick Dame over Giannis at this point. Personally, I love Dame too, but if I have to pick, I'm not picking Dame over Giannis. I'm just not. Now, Dame might fit better on how the Heat are currently built compared to Giannis, but to have Giannis and Bam sounds pretty filthy as well. So I don't think you can go wrong there. However, I would want Giannis over Dame personally, but I don't know. I mean, you guys got to do something too because you just seem so middle.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Jimmy's hurt. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Jimmy's always hurt. Let's move on from Jimmy. Let's move on from Jimmy. I'm over the Jimmy Butler experience.
Don't take your bullshit shots at the Heat and Jimmy because I
would
never say anything bad about Jimmy Butler. But I will say this. So here's what the rumors are. Now I can confirm they're talking. I just can't confirm what they're talking about. The rumor is Dame for Jimmy or Bam for Giannis, which I don't think is advantage Heat. We have to find, like you said, we have to find a way to have Bam and Giannis. I don't want to swap the two for each other. Now, Bam and Giannis have the same agent. That's what the connection there is. But if you move Jimmy for Dame, I think I'm still okay with that. And that's not me talking bad about Jimmy, but I'm just saying we do have to make a move. My gut tells me not to move Jimmy. But if we have to move Jimmy to make a move, then go for it. You get what I'm saying? So, but I definitely don't want to lose Bam at this point. So would you swap Bam or Giannis, or would you just go after the Dame versus Jimmy trade?
That's tough because, like I said, I would prefer Giannis. I would hate to reward Bam in that way if in the negative to me. Like, that feels like not the send-off that Bam deserves from the Heat, if I'm being honest. I know they've already tried. If it's me, of course I'm trying to get rid of Hero, but it doesn't seem like anybody wants to give you anything decent for Hero, even though he can play.
He's put up numbers this year.
I know. I'm saying, and he has before. I'm just saying it seems like he's not getting you much in return in trade talks because y'all been trying to trade him for like 3 seasons.
Right.
I think I'd rather keep Bam than Jimmy. So I think what I would do is trade Jimmy for Dame. If I'm given those options, and maybe try to figure out a different way to get another guy here later than get rid of Bam. But how old is Bam?
28, 29.
Okay, so he's fine. I mean, that's probably what I would do because I would rather get rid of Jimmy than Bam. That's what it comes down to. And if Jimmy gets me Dame, that's fun. My defense can still be anchored by Bam and can still be decent. And if Jimmy's not playing anyways, then you're not really losing anything on the defense. So I would probably swing for Dame more than Giannis if Giannis means I got to get rid of Bam. Because I would prefer not to get rid of Bam if I'm you guys.
I don't think my heart can deal with a Jimmy Butler trade from Miami. I don't think my heart can deal with that. But moving right along to the Western Conference, Oklahoma City, number one. Golden State Warriors.
You would rather keep Jimmy over Bam?
I'm sorry, what's that?
I know you didn't say this when you just said like you don't think your heart could handle trading Jimmy, but would you rather have Jimmy over Bam?
Yeah.
No. Y'all need to blow up the whole thing then. If you got Heat fans trying to trade Bam,
here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. So Bam's been with the Heat for 7 years. Jimmy's been there for around 5 years. In the time frame that they've played together, Jimmy has still given the Heat more than Bam has. Jimmy has proven that he can put the team on the back and lead them to the finals, where Bam has proven he's a good second option or a good third option, but he still has yet to prove that he's a good first option. So that's where I'm coming from with that. So it's like, it's no disrespect to Bam at all, but Jimmy's there when we need him, usually.
That's my issue with Jimmy is I have a different take because he's getting older and he's not there when you need him. He's hurt when you need him. And that's not trending up. He's in a contract year. He's already hurt. This was the year Jimmy's supposed to be great.
He can't control his ankle being hurt. He can't control
I know, and I know, and that's not his fault, but I'd rather go with the guy who's on the court.
Bam's been hurt too. In the bubble finals, Bam was hurt. He came back in a couple of games, but he was hurt. I mean, the Heat's always fucking hurt. Kind of like the Magic. They're always fucking hurt. But Jimmy has given us more in the last 5 years than Bam has.
How old is Jimmy?
35, I think 36. You're not going to get me with that.
No, you move on. You move on from Jimmy, and you can't convince me. You can't convince me otherwise. You move on from Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Jimmy Butler is the heart and soul of that team. So
you're not going to win a championship with him. I'm saying it now. You're not going to win a championship with Jimmy Butler.
I will go down with the Jimmy Butler ship, okay? Now, moving right along to the Western Conference. So again, Oklahoma City, Golden State, Houston, the Lakers, Phoenix, and Denver are in the playoffs. Then you have to play in Sacramento, Memphis, Minnesota, and Dallas. What stands out there for you right now, a month into the season?
There's only one. You could jumble these up, and it would surprise me less. But the biggest surprise, it's got to be Houston is the glaring. Mm-hmm. And I'm blanking on the coach that came from Boston, but he's got to be, if they keep this spot and they keep playing, because their defense is really good too, I believe.
It's Ime Udoka, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. If they keep playing this way, he should be in talks for Coach of the Year type consideration. Not saying he'll win it, but he should be in the talks, of course. And it's got to be Houston. That's the only one that stands out outside of. And I don't want to get caught up, and I don't want to get fooled again. But number 4 and 5 right there. Kudos as well to JJ Redick and the Lakers, seemingly turning that team around based on nothing other than the way they're playing. And Anthony Davis.
It's easy to be a coach when you can throw the ball in Anthony Davis and LeBron James is giving you 3 straight triple doubles.
Well, hey,
it's easy to take credit for that.
It didn't work last year, all right? So there's something to it, all right? It did not work last year outside
the NBA. It's easy to take credit for that,
And Phoenix. And Phoenix is where they should be.
Tyus Jones, man.
Yeah. It's not all Tyus Jones because that's the little guy who don't play defense. So it's part.
It is Tyus Jones to settle the offense when in years prior no one knew who was going to get the ball and no one knew who was going to be the guy. But now you have a true point guard there who can distribute the ball and make that happen. He makes the decision on who gets the ball at what time. He is a huge
fair.
part of that team right now. Huge part of that team.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Golden State being as good is a big surprise.
Golden State, yeah.
And they got some of those wins without Curry. Curry missed quite a few games already, so that's impressive. Houston's probably the most glaring one team in my eyes that shouldn't be there, or that is there. Besides that, really, I mean, like I said, you could jumble the teams up slightly different, but the teams that are there in the top 10 aren't necessarily odd to me. I thought Minnesota would be better. Of course, we thought Denver would be better, who started off a little rocky, and doesn't seem like they can win without Jokic dropping a massive triple-double. But
this week has been insane for him, by the way. It's been insane.
But it's got to be Houston, and maybe the Lakers and Golden State playing as well as they have so far.
What about Dallas? Do you think Dallas should have been higher at this point? Now, Kyrie missed a couple of games, but
yes,
what's going on in Dallas?
I think they're like the Knicks. I think they just have to figure it out. I think they'll be fine. I think they have a shakeup, and maybe they just didn't get off to a hot start. I think they're going to be fine. I think the Knicks are going to be fine in the same way. I think they just got to figure out playing together a little bit, a little more continuity on the team. They added Clay, and I think it's just enough to kind of put a wrinkle on what they're used to doing. So I think they figure it out. I don't think they stay quite that low. And even if they do, I think they're the type of team with the type of stars that, almost like the Heat, they're okay with where they're seated because they're looking for the playoffs. But I do think they trend upward, if I had to guess.
At 28, pretty much 28, 8-8, Luka's putting up his numbers, but I will say this. So far this season, and it's still early, his shooting percentage is down. His points are down from last year. His field goal attempts are down from last year. His three-point percentage is down 6% from last year. What do you think is going on there?
No, nothing.
Even his assists are down from last year.
I think it's just start of the season kind of like woes. I'm not putting like too much hype either one way or another this early into the season. There's still so much time to turn things around. I'm not taking it as such a red flag as maybe some are. I want to give it some time. Like I said,
they were in the finals last year. They're number 10 right now.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been in the finals.
What do you mean they shouldn't have been in the finals?
They shouldn't have been.
They should have won it last year. What are you talking about?
No,
they were the strongest outside of the Magic. They were the strongest team in the second half of the season last year.
I think they overachieved as well. Just like Indiana. I don't think they're as bad as Indiana, but I do think they overachieved a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think they're this bad. I'll say that. I think there's a medium. I think they should be around 5 or 6, not this low. And I also don't think they're the best in the West. So I think they trend upward, but I don't think we're going to see a big difference in them.
Well, Sacramento's higher than they were last year. Then we have to account for Memphis, who wasn't in the equation last year. So we knew at least one team was going to fall. And even Houston, we didn't equate for Houston being in the top 3. So we knew something was going to give, right?
And Golden State and the Lakers were not this high.
Right.
Not even close.
They were in the play-in last year. So I didn't account for that. But with that said, I thought Dallas would have at least, and don't get me wrong, all these teams are close. Dallas is 2 games out of the 6th spot. Okay, still early.
Yeah.
But I think Dallas should be in the top 6. I think they have enough talent on that team. They have the experience from going to the finals last year to at least be in the top 6. So I will give them a little more grace with that. But I will say this. if your 3-point shooting percentage is down 6%, you might want to not shoot as many threes as you do. I will throw that out there for Luka. So, but outside of that, like I said, Dallas should be definitely in the top 6. So, final thoughts. Anything you got for me today?
Go Magic. Since you don't like me fucking talking about the Magic.
I didn't say I didn't like talking about the Magic.
Right, not you. I know.
Okay. I will give you kudos because it looks like you have the strongest fantasy league team right now in our league, so I give you kudos for that. In my money league, I'm actually winning 9-0, so I'm actually doing slightly better in my money league than I am doing in our own Hardwood Nation League. But it looks like, because I've been watching your team, it looks like you have one of the best teams right now. Heading into the day, I'm leading Justin, so I beat Newbie, lost to you, I beat Kenny, and then I'm beating Justin right now. So it looks like you're the team that I got to watch out for. So I want to give you.
You also had to face me. If you didn't notice, I happened to get Jokic 4 times in the week I played you, and he got 4 triple doubles. It's hard to beat that. But I'll say this: Newbie's been playing well. Yeah. I haven't had Jokic for one single game against him, and I'm still beating him.
Really?
Jokic didn't play this week until Friday, and then he had a personal reason he missed the game.
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, but he didn't play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. There was no Denver games, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm still up, so I'm not. Also, though, all the people that were major impacts on my team that were hurt, I still have some injuries, but the major injuries have come back. So I'm not as hurt as some guys are, but I haven't had Jokic all week, and I can definitely tell a big difference. But yeah, it's I have a good team. I've been lucky so far. It's still early in the season. I took a loss week 1, but I don't usually get too up or down the first month of the season because I've had really bad starts before and still been there in the finals. Right. So, but I told you I had a good team. Because I can tell. And it's been decent.
I'm not going to count Porzingis because I haven't had him yet this year. Aaron Gordon hurt me. Chet really hurt me because I'm down in rebounds and blocks. And, of course, Jimmy's been out.
But I've never even heard of that injury that Holmgren had before I read it.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. Yeah. Did you watch that?
I saw the fall, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But apparently, because it didn't look – he fell hard, but we've seen players get up from that.
But this is my biggest issue with guys built like Holmgren. This has to be the fear with anybody built like that, including Wemby. Now, Wemby's a little more muscular, a little bigger, so it's less. But, I mean, do you know who hit him in midair to make him do that? It was Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, yeah?
You have Chet Holmgren, who's arguably your big guy, going up just against Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins got him off kilter in midair. It made him hit his hip, and now he's out. I'm not saying Chet Holmgren's not talented. I'm saying with a build like that, that's the ultimate worry, is can you handle the physicality? And so far, judging from his first injury before he came into the league, keeping him out his rookie year to now, I'm not like a big OKC or Holmgren fan, but you have to be worried if you're OKC, because he seems a little fragile. It's not like Joel Embiid came and knocked him off his feet. Andrew Wiggins met him in midair, and I would be worried.
He started off strong. Chet really started off strong.
Oh, no, and OKC has been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. It's just like you put a lot of stock in the Holmgren, I would be a little worried because, he seems a little fragile.
Since I know you're an Adele boy, I just wanted to give you a little shout out. Chance, you know I love you, but I'm kicking your ass this week. Your older brother isn't walking through that door this week. I'm gonna win this week. You see that 9, that big 9-0 right now. But this team this week, and this is in my money league. But this team this week has actually been powered by LeBron James with his 3 straight triple doubles. James Harden's been a hit or miss so far. John Collins every year is solid for me. Clint
He
Capella.
started off slow, but he's been balling lately because I have him in my other league as well.
Right, yeah, he picked it up the last week or so. Clint Capella, the same thing. And then, of course, you may see I got your boy Franz on here, who had a pretty good week for me as well. So I'm destroying your McGrady clan right now, and that's okay because I'm going to win this money league this year.
I'm having success in my other league as well, and I have I have more injuries in that league. I have so many injuries I can't even fit them all in the IR, and but I'm still stringing together wins. I've only had like one bad loss, and I'm second in the other league. But
you see this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a young Anthony Davis when he was putting up hella stats in fantasy, okay?
Now he's just got to learn how to make his team win.
Right.
Now, I have a quick question because you brought up John Collins.
Okay.
Where nobody's talking about him because they're not like really winning. Utah seemed to peak a few seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Lauri Markkanen had a breakout type of season as well when they were having that success. He has not had a great season to start. What do you think Utah? What do you think they're doing that
they
needs
have to move one of them? They have to move one. So Collins and Lauri, I'm not going to say they're the same player, but they're very similar. So like last year, Lauri had a great season. Collins didn't have a great season. Now this year it's kind of flipped where Collins is having a decent season so far and Lauri's not having. You have to move one. They can't be on the same team. And it's not a personal thing. They probably like each other, it's fine. But they're kind of like the same player, and it's not working. Gotta move on. No.
It's just something I noticed because I have John Collins in one league and I have Markkanen in another. And so I'm seeing their stats and I'm seeing their losses. And I was just like, they were one of the younger, more exciting up-and-coming teams, and then they just haven't been able to keep up with that trajectory. So I was wondering, all of a sudden, they just bottom of the barrel instead of being at least competitive.
They're trash. And they're gonna be trash for the next 2 to 3 years. But like I said, those two guys, they can't play together because they take up the same spaces on the court. So if you look at Minnesota, when you had Rudy Gobert and Cat, they made it work, but it wasn't supposed to work. And then they decided to move Cat, which was really the wrong person. They should have kept Cat and moved Rudy. But
you think it only worked because Cat could hit the 3-ball?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you think it only worked because Cat could hit a 3-ball, so they didn't have to keep him in the paint next to Rudy?
Right. So Cat was able to stretch the floor a little bit, but they still, with both of them, it wasn't going to work long term, and I think they should have kept Cat and moved Rudy. Because if you look at New York, right? If you look at New York getting Cat, New York could have gotten Rudy, and New York still would have been fine. They still would have been okay. You get what I'm saying? Because New York didn't need a ultra talented big. They didn't need that to win. So that's why Minnesota's record isn't so great right now because you don't. The Nas guy, the Muhammad guy, what the fuck the guy's name is?
Nasri.
He's a good player, but he's not a number 2 guy. He's not. So Anthony's pretty much there by himself right now. He doesn't have a legit number 2 guy. We know Rudy Gobert can't score to save his life unless he's catching a fucking lob. He can't shoot free throws. So now it's all on Ant. He has to put up 30 to 40 shots a game for them to be competitive now. When Cat could alleviate some of that pressure off of him.
But doesn't Randall take that spot? Isn't that kind of like
do you believe
not the biggest difference? Huh?
Do you believe in Julius Randle?
Do you believe in Towns?
More so than Randle, yes, I do. let me pull it
up. Also, another big thing. There was no question who had the best defense last year. I'm pretty sure it was Minnesota. They're not. I think they're number 1 defense. Is what I'm saying. Last season. This season, they have a good defense, but it doesn't seem to be elite like it was last season.
But they had the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year on the team. So what is it?
That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's what I'm saying. What is the difference? Because Towns isn't necessarily known for his defense. No, I know he's a good boy. I'm just saying it seems like something is off with Minnesota because they're not even doing what they did last year so well.
Oh, give me 1 second. Yeah, Nas Reed. Yeah, he's trash. All right, so I'm going to pull up Randall's numbers really quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So 26-4. It's cute. It's not a bad stat line, but Karl Anthony Towns was giving you 26-27. He was giving you more rebounds, and actually the assist numbers was a little higher too last season. So Julius Randle is not a great defender. He's a soft offensive player. Cat was a little soft too, but you got Edwards, no defense. You got Randall, no defense. Reed can play defense a little bit. Rudy can play defense, of course. But the whole of Cat being gone is bigger than I think they thought it would be.
Yeah, I think so. I think they thought Randall would slot in better, but it seems like there's still something missing. And I'll say this, Julius Randle is like one of the only guys that instead of looking younger, he looks like he's about 20 years older than he really is. He looks like an old head.
New York can do it to you, man. New York can do that to you.
Speaking of that, do you think New York figures things out? Because
Absolutely.
Not like they haven't been terrible, but they haven't been as good, I think, as people thought.
No, New York's going to figure it out. Brunson is being crowded offensively. That's why he's having like a quiet start of the year. The better Cat plays, the more pressure it takes off of Brunson. But I do want to say one thing before we leave. I was watching Charlotte. You know, my little cousin plays for Charlotte. And I was watching Charlotte play the other night. Taj Gibson is still getting minutes in the NBA.
Yeah. He started the other night against the Magic. And I was like, everybody was like, Taj Gibson.
How in the world did he survive Thibodeau 3 times? Chicago, Minnesota, and New York, and Taj Gibson is still here.
It's like people talking about LeBron James still being in the league. Taj Gibson still. Oh, and one thing I want to mention about your little cousin, for as great as he is, and I have him in fantasy, I love him. No. This is something I need for all the praise he gets. He's your leader. He's your ball handler. Have you ever taken a look at his turnovers?
Yes, he has a lot of turnovers. Yes.
No, it's not just a lot. It's an obscene amount of fucking turnovers.
No. We're not doing that because James Harden has a lot of turnovers every year too.
Turnovers.
Say what?
Double-digit turnovers multiple times. You can't. He has more turnovers than some teams have. The whole team has turnovers. Let's not.
James Harden would have.
It's something. It's something is what I'm saying.
James Harden would have double-digit turnovers, so I'm not doing that. We're not.
Okay. So you want your little cousin to live up to the high praise of James Harden? What are you doing? What are you comparing him to James Harden for? You can't stand James Harden. He's never won anything ever. He puts up the most false stats anybody wants to put up. So don't compare someone that you love to James Harden as a defense.
First of all, this is my cousin. Second of all, the little shithead basketball fans out there who want to put James Harden ahead of Dwayne Wade, this is why they shouldn't do that, because James Harden was a turnover machine. LaMelo Ball has been a turnover machine in the beginning of in the beginning of his career. I get it. He's 5 years in.
He's still turning it over. He's turning it over.
He's 5 years in.
Go look at his stats right now and look at his turnovers. Go right now and look at it. I'm tired of looking at his teeth. Go look at his fucking turnovers.
We have devolved here. We have de-evolved here.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm pulling it up right now.
All the inefficiency talk that people want to put on Paolo for being a third-year guy, I'm not hearing anything bad about LaMelo, even though he can't stay healthy. I love LaMelo too. He's on my team. I want him to stay healthy. I want Charlotte to be competitive for the sake of the league. But I'm not hearing people talk about LaMelo and his turnovers the way that people want to slander other young guys, because he deserves some of the blame if he's turning the ball over like he has been.
I'm looking it up now.
I think last night might have been the least amount of turnovers I've seen from him all season.
Let me look at this.
Or the game before, something like this. But every other time I watch him play and I go, awesome stats. I don't think your team can win if you're turning the ball over 10, 11 times. Personally.
Turn over 10, 11 times every
He's turned it over at least 10, like twice. I swear to God.
You should stop that.
No, I will not stop that. I have to look at the turnover slot category in our league fucking destroy me every week because of LaMelo.
I'm looking at it now, and I think it's TO. They've changed these stats. Forgive me. I think it's TOV right now. 1 second. Let me get the screen back up because I want everybody to see this foolishness that you got me looking at right now.
Thing. I hate all the slander towards Paolo being inefficient when you got LaMelo Ball just handing
Take it out on my cousin. So I believe this is it right here. TOV. Okay. That can't be right. Where is it?
It's not.
Where the fuck is it? I need some stat guys to look at this. Hold on. Usage. I don't care about usage. You know what? Let me do one more thing. Couple of more seconds and I'll figure it out. Let me go to your fantasy page and tell me that.
Yeah, it will.
He has not turned over the ball 10 times a game. I mean,
I go look. I thought I was looking at assist numbers. Looks like I was looking at turnovers. I'm not joking around with you. It's blown me away.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. I love the guy. I don't understand why I never hear anybody bring it up because it's what stands out to me when I look at his stats. It's glaring.
Yes. So now the kiddies know that I don't use the internet that good. All right, here we go. So
you used to. You just aged out.
I just literally just had it on the screen. What you mean I aged out? Get out of here. Get out of here. My eye test is better than anything. All right, so let's look at this. So let's see. The last 10 games. Hope you can see that. Let me make it bigger for you.
Yeah, I can't see.
Okay, this is better. All right. So recent games, 2 turnovers yesterday against Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Three turnovers against the Orlando Magic. Against Philly, it was 6 turnovers. Against Friday, it was 1. And against the Pacers, it was 1. And then against Detroit, it was 2. Don't try me.
That 10 game. I knew he had one where he had 10, and I was like, what the fuck?
Don't come for my family, okay? Don't do it. Okay, I see the 10 game. Was that preseason? What was this?
You look right there. No, 6, 5.
This is preseason.
No.
I see the 10, okay? So 2, 10, 5, 6, 4, 6. He's not bad.
It's too many. Too many for your main ball handler, I'll say that.
He's a main ball handler. Of course he's going to have the most turnovers on the team.
No. He needs to get that. His coach needs to reel that in. Say, quit being so flashy.
To our followers out there, the 1 and 2 that watches us, drop a comment below. Let us know if LaMelo Ball is a turnover machine. Let us know. Prove Bryce right. Prove me wrong, or vice versa. We always respond to comments. Look, we're going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Hardwood podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Everyone stay safe, and we are out.